What's going on, everybody? This video is going to be a continuation of a video that is years old, but is still getting love to this day, so I appreciate you guys for watching that. If you did find me through that video, this is the solo drills in Kali Basics. Now, we're going to use this as a continuation. The first video, if you guys were able to see that, it was a lot more on being able to increase your flexibility and just kind of getting introduced to the stick itself. So if you've done that, now it's time to get into a little bit more striking-oriented warm-ups or solo drills you can do to improve your skills or even just set you guys up for a great class. So the first one that we're going to do is not about striking, but it will set its pace and its precedence with everything else that you guys are going to do for this entire video. But this is what we call the open and closed position. And this was inspired by Balintawak Arnis that I've integrated into Anastasio Kali. When we talk about open and closed position, it's loading our hips and being able to prepare ourselves for the powerful strike, whether it is a snap or a follow through, making sure that we put our entire body into that strike. So when we look at our open position, I'm going to twist and slightly lower my base. I'm going to twist my left hip, and I'm going to feel like I'm pushing it into my right hip. My heel is up, I'm driving forward, sitting down on the hip here. I have my right stick chambered onto my right shoulder, and I have my safety hand in front to counterbalance that weight. When I'm here, I'm going to step to twist like I'm throwing a hook, and I'm going to do it on the opposite side into the closed position. So now my right hip is pushing into my left, my right heel is up, squeezing my lats to keep that stick nice and chambered over my left tricep, and again, sitting down on that here. So we have the open, and we have the closed. After doing that a little bit, your legs are going to start to warm up. Mind-body connection is starting to go. Now let's get into some striking. First fundamental that we're going to look at are our ranges. So we have what we call the 3-range drill. And so what I'm going to do is I'll turn my body sideways so you can see what I'm emphasizing here. But we're going largo, media, corto, or long range, medium range, close range. So I'm going to use an angle 1 for my long range. I'm going to lengthen my base for this one, and I'm not going to focus on twisting my hips and shoulders over just yet. What I sacrifice in power and drive, I achieve in extending my range here. So I do an angle 1. I'm going to lunge forward and bend my knee to the point where is my maximum reach before I fall over or I put too much stress over my right lead here. And I pull myself back. So it's like I'm reaching and grabbing back in. So long range is angle 1. That'll bring me to mid-range, which is where most of my training is done. Mid-range, I'm going to do an angle 4 snap. So that's a horizontal strike that hits the target and goes back to where it came from. Snapping is usually done from medium range to close range because it does take away some of that reach, but it does increase the speed because we're only going halfway. Okay, so we make it nice and snappy. Nice tight closed position. This is going to help us transfer our weight backwards into a more compressed base, which is now going to be my close range and what we call an arco strike. So an arco strike is a circular strike here, but it has a lot more of a tick or whipping property to it. So it's more of an up and down as opposed to a full circle. So when I condense and compress my base here, stick goes up and down, right back into that closed position. Okay, so again, we start a little bit more lengthened here for long range. Medium range snap, close range arco. Okay, now that's going to make sure that number 1, I'm starting to visualize the different ranges. And more importantly, now my body is going to start to feel how it's going to act when it's in those 3 separate ranges. Okay, when you focus and give something to manifest the range or the idea of range, then your body can start to feel what is actually different between long, medium, and close. More emphasis on the knee, more lat or shoulder and hip usage, more wrist flexor usage from close range, and now we get to educate our body into using everything once again, and not just the stick, or maybe just my hand, or maybe just my feet. So as we have our 3 ranges, we also have our 3 levels. So what I want you guys to do is take a basic striking pattern, let's say an X pattern, for example. That's an angle 1 and 2, just like so. And we're going to emphasize and almost dramatize 3 levels, which is our high line, our midline, and our low line. So once again, to me, I'm using myself as a target, but this can also depend on my target itself, if it's taller or shorter than me. But to me, midline is where I naturally strike. So mid-range is my natural range, and midline is my natural level or length, if you will. So we're going to take the X pattern, and again, basing off of myself as a target, I'm going to look up, and I'm not going to strike all the way to the top here, kind of like on a diagonal. Okay, so I just slightly aim up. I have my X pattern. I'll flow into my natural midline. I'm going to kneel down, maintain my right lead, and now I'm going to do a low line X pattern. You can also do it opposite, low line to midline to high line. And we're just trying to now use our eyes and understand that there are different levels. Once again, that's a dramatization. I could be in high line and my target be shorter than me. I can be in low line and my target be higher than me. It depends on how you want to view it and how you want to, process things in your brain. Ultimately, the language that you choose in your head is completely up to you. But at least we understand that we're going to aim with our eyes and not just swing the stick and hope that it hits our target. We want to be precise. We want to be accurate. We almost want to be like a sniper when we strike. If I'm aiming at your top eyebrow, I want to hit your top eyebrow. And I have to not only position my body, but I also have to position my eyes to be able to process that information, send the signals back up to my brain, and right back out through my hands and my feet. Okay? Now this last one here, the second last one here, we're going to get into some striking, which is what we call our triangular drill. This is going to create symmetry between my two hands, and the reason why we want this is because we want our safety hand to be active. Right? We don't want to get caught in the process of doing a whole strike combination, kind of just be stationary and stagnant and keep this hand in front of my face like so. Okay? This is a safety hand, this is a live hand, but they are both alive and they work together. Nice and fluid, and one is always setting up the other. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our angle 1, that's going to draw 1/3 here. Okay? We're going to take an angle 4 to create the bottom of the triangle, and we're going to take an angle 5 to finish that triangle. Rather than resting it here on my tricep, I'm going to rest it onto my shoulder, because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my hand and I'm going to switch my lead. I'm going to baseball grip to switch, left lead. Now we do angle 1 on the other side, angle 4 at the bottom, angle 5 on top, all the way to my shoulder, switch leads, and strike. And as you can see now, I'm starting to put my hips and shoulders into it. Okay, I know I'm in mid-range and mid-line, okay, using my open and closed position, but also creating symmetry on both my hands here. Okay? Now, our last one. Now we're at the last one here, and this is very important, but also probably the easiest one. We are now going to Sinawali or Carenza, or take any sequence of basic movements or strikes, and now you're going to do it. We've gone through the process of warming up our hand. Now we've gone through the process of establishing our ranges, our levels, symmetry with our hands. Now we got to put it together. It is impossible for you to be able to just practice a drill for range and expect that that's going to be there in sparring or in self-defense if you don't practice using it. Because the range itself or the level itself is a mere concept. We call it a fundamental that can be applied to any basic strike. So now when we're doing this Sinawali, now that we're doing this Carenza, we're doing it with a conscious mind of visualizing a fight, visualizing self-defense, visualizing the sequence of strikes that we want to put together. And not just kind of go over, 10 basic strikes, although you can use it if that's your beginner. But we really want to try to get to a point where we're flowing the stick and we're thinking, if I move here, strike down here, here comes a person to my right, to my left. And when I visualize and I'm trying to use different fundamentals, now I actually can take that skill and make it much more transferable into different situations. And to me, that is our ultimate goal when we train in any martial art. It's to be able to drill things, but to take that drill out of the actual training and turn it into something that might use a fraction of the drill, it might use half of the drill, it might use all of the drill plus another one, and then a little bit of freestyle to glue it all together. That's where we can really determine our skill level, if we can take our day-to-day training and be able to implement it as almost like an instinctual behavior. So those are my 5 solo drills you guys can do in continuation to the past video. Thank you guys for watching. And if you guys need that extra bit of training, obviously we have the huge array of videos on this channel. But Union University, which is our online platform, it is coming soon. So stay tuned, follow me down below, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.